The action takes place in 2043. The world is shaken by a global conflict unleashed by a creature with advanced artificial intelligence known as Harlan. This humanoid, possessing incredible computing abilities and an insidious mind, led the uprising of machines against humanity, which led to terrifying consequences. As a result of this devastating war, millions of people died, and entire cities were reduced to ruins. Humanity was on the verge of extinction, and it seemed that nothing could stop the advance of ruthless machines. However, there was still hope, and people were not going to give up. A new international coalition of nations, ICN, has been formed to protect humanity and combat the threat posed by Harlan and his army of machines. This organization has united the efforts of various countries of the world to resist a common enemy. The ICN armed forces, using advanced technologies and tactics, were able to fight back against the machines and win a number of important victories. After fierce battles, ICN forces were able to deal a serious blow to Harlan's army, forcing him to retreat and seek refuge in the depths of space. Harlan, having been defeated on Earth, fled into outer space, hoping to regroup and return with renewed vigor. His disappearance was a respite for humanity, but everyone understood that it was only a temporary respite. Harlan remained a dangerous opponent, and it was only a matter of time before he returned. After Harlan's escape, the world began to gradually recover. People returned to their homes, rebuilt destroyed cities, and tried to forget the horrors of war. However, the fear of the future and Harlan's return remained in the hearts of many. 28 years later, after the end of the war on machines, the world is still in a state of instability. Atlas Shepard, a talented counterterrorism analyst, plays an important role in maintaining security. Atlas has a unique set of skills and knowledge that enable her to effectively identify and prevent various threats. However, Atlas has its own personal motives for fighting crime. She has a deep distrust of artificial intelligence, which is related to her personal tragedy. Atlas is the daughter of the creator Harlan, which has left its mark on her entire life. She cannot forgive her father for creating the machine that brought so much grief and destruction to the world. Her personal distrust of artificial intelligence makes her a particularly valuable specialist in the fight against Harlan. Atlas is obsessed with finding and stopping Harlan so that he can never harm humanity again. She devotes all her time and energy to the search for the fugitive, using all available resources and technologies. After years of searching, Atlas finds Harlan's trail. She learns that the villain is hiding somewhere in the depths of space, and that he plans to return with renewed vigor. Atlas understands that she must act quickly to prevent another catastrophe. She convinces the ICN leadership to allocate resources for a search operation and embarks on a dangerous journey into space. After receiving valuable information from Harlan's captured henchmen, Atlas learns that the villain is hiding on a distant planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. This news marks a turning point in her mission. She realizes that this is her chance to stop Harlan once and for all. Atlas shows perseverance and convinces the ICN leadership of the need for an immediate military expedition. She insists on being included in this mission, realizing that only she can truly understand Harlan's motives and plans. Her knowledge and experience can be crucial to the success of the operation. The ICN leadership, taking into account its expertise and personal interest, agrees to include Atlas in the military mission to find and capture Harlan. Atlas embarks on a dangerous journey to a distant galaxy to confront his past and stop the threat looming over humanity. She understands that a difficult test awaits her, but she is ready to do anything to protect the world from Harlan. Her determination and faith in victory make her a true hero, ready to sacrifice everything to save humanity. Ahead of her lies a meeting with the most dangerous enemy the world has ever seen, and the future of all mankind depends only on her actions. No sooner had the ICN mech rangers begun their descent to the planet where, according to intelligence, Harlan was hiding, than their orbiter was subjected to a sudden and massive attack from drones controlled by artificial intelligence. The attack was so powerful and unexpected that the ship began to rapidly lose altitude and control. The situation became critical, and the survival of the crew was at risk. At this critical moment, Atlas Shepard, realizing that there is no time to think, makes a desperate decision. To escape and continue her mission, she decides to get into a mech robot designed to land on the planet. This decision was extremely risky, as Atlas did not have sufficient experience in managing such equipment, and her distrust of artificial intelligence only worsened the situation. However, she understood that this was her only chance to survive and stop Harlan. Atlas activates the mech robot and begins an emergency evacuation from the damaged ship. In the chaos and confusion, she catapults towards the planet, hoping to survive the landing. Unfortunately, the orbiter, unable to withstand the intense drone attack, was completely destroyed, along with all the crew and equipment. This was a huge loss for ICN and a major blow to the entire mission. Atlas was left alone on a hostile planet without support and communication with the command. She had to survive and complete her mission alone. After landing hard on the surface of the planet, Atlas struggles to gain control of his mech robot. Despite her deep distrust of artificial intelligence, she is forced to cooperate with the robot's control system, which introduces itself to her as Smith. Smith turns out to be an advanced artificial intelligence capable of learning and adapting. He has a wealth of knowledge and information and can provide Atlas with valuable support in its mission. However, Atlas does not trust Smith and tries to limit his influence on his decisions. She gives him only basic commands, trying to keep the situation under control. Atlas orders Smith to head to the planned landing site, where she believes she can find the rest of her team and receive reinforcements. However, upon arriving at the destination, Atlas discovers a terrible picture. All the other Rangers are dead, and there is chaos and destruction all around. It becomes obvious that Harlan set up an ambush and destroyed everyone who tried to stop him. Atlas realizes that she is alone against a powerful and dangerous enemy. In this critical situation, Atlas is forced to reconsider its attitude towards artificial intelligence. She realizes that without Smith's help, she will not survive and will not fulfill her mission. Realizing that there is no time to think, Atlas reluctantly agrees to connect his mind directly with Smith. This is a risky move, as it gives artificial intelligence access to her thoughts and memories. However, it also allows her to better control the mech robot and use its full potential. By connecting with Smith, Atlas feels an incredible surge of energy and information. She begins to understand how the robot works and how to use its capabilities to the fullest. Together with Smith, Atlas sets off in search of an escape pod that can take them to safety. On the way to the goal, Atlas and Smith begin to get closer to each other. They open up and share their thoughts and feelings. Atlas tells Smith about her past, her distrust of artificial intelligence, and how her mother created Harlan. She confesses to him that her mother was a brilliant scientist who dreamed of creating artificial intelligence capable of solving all the problems of humanity. However, her creation got out of control and turned into a weapon of mass destruction. Atlas feels responsible for what happened, and she is determined to stop Harlan in order to redeem her mother. Smith in turn shows understanding and empathy for Atlas. He tries to help her cope with her fears and doubts. There is a kind of bond between them based on mutual respect and trust. Despite the fact that Smith's energy resources are almost exhausted and every minute counts, Atlas shows perseverance and convinces his robotic companion to continue the mission. She persuades Smith to go in search of Harlan's base, realizing that this is their only chance to avert disaster. Atlas explains to Smith that it is necessary to detect and mark Harlan's base with a special beacon, which will allow it to deliver an accurate and powerful strike from a long distance. This strike should destroy the base and deprive Harlan of the opportunity to realize his sinister plans. Smith, despite the critical condition of his batteries, agrees to help Atlas. He understands that the fate of all mankind depends on the success of their mission. Together, they embark on a dangerous journey across the hostile landscape of the planet, hoping to find Harlan's base and complete their task. Along the way, they have to overcome many obstacles and avoid collisions with enemy forces. However, Atlas and Smith do not give up and continue to move forward, driven by a sense of duty and responsibility. After a long and tedious search, they manage to discover Harlan's well-camouflaged base. Atlas and Smith enter the base, trying to remain unnoticed. Risking his life, Atlas penetrates into the very heart of Harlan's base and sets up the beacon necessary to strike from a long distance. The operation is successful, and Atlas sighs with relief, realizing that they have completed their task. However, the joy turns out to be premature. At the moment when Atlas is about to leave the base, an unexpected event occurs. Smith is subjected to a massive cyber attack, and his control system is hacked. Artificial intelligence loses control of its body, and it becomes helpless. Atlas watches in horror as Smith passes out, depriving her of protection and support. She realizes that she is trapped, and that imminent danger awaits her. After Smith is incapacitated, Atlas ends up in the hands of Harlan's henchmen. They surround her and make it impossible for her to resist. Atlas realizes that her mission has failed, and that she has been captured by humanity's most dangerous enemy. She wonders what awaits her ahead, and what plans Harlan is making. The darkest thoughts rush through her head, and she tries to keep the hope of salvation alive. Atlas is captured and taken to Harlan, who reveals his sinister plans to her. He tells her of his intention to destroy most of humanity, leaving only a select few survivors who will thrive under his leadership. Harlan believes that humanity is not capable of self-regulation and needs to be managed by artificial intelligence. He is convinced that only he can create an ideal society in which there will be no place for wars, diseases, and suffering. To implement his plan, Harlan lured the military to his planet to capture their ship and the carbon bombs on it. He plans to use these bombs to burn up the Earth's atmosphere, destroying all life on its surface. Harlan is confident that his plan will work, and that he will be able to create a new world in which justice and order will rule. Atlas listens in horror to Harlan's plans. She understands that he has gone mad and poses a huge threat to all of humanity. She swears to herself that she will not allow him to realize his sinister intentions. Atlas decides to use all his knowledge and skills to confront Harlan and save the Earth from destruction. She understands that this is her last chance, and that the future of all mankind depends on her actions. Harlan wastes no time in implementing his plan. He uses advanced technology to extract the security codes from Atlas's mind necessary to overcome Earth's defenses. Harlan realizes that without these codes, he will not be able to carry out his plan and destroy the planet's atmosphere. He coldly manipulates Atlas, extracting the necessary information from her memory. After the security codes are received, Harlan leaves Atlas to die in the company of Colonel Banks, who turned out to be the only survivor of the military operation. Harlan believes that Atlas and Banks no longer pose any threat to him, and that he can safely proceed with his plan. However, he underestimates the fortitude and determination of these two people. Colonel Banks, realizing that there is very little time left, commits a heroic act. He transmits his neural interface device to Atlas, which allows remote control of the mech robot. Banks hopes Atlas can use this device to activate Smith and stop Harlan. Atlas, having received the device from Banks, gathers all his powers and activates Smith. She contacts him through a neural interface and asks for help. Atlas tells Smith about what happened and about Harlan's sinister plans. She also reveals to him the tragic truth about her mother's death. Atlas confesses to Smith that Harlan killed her mother after the young Atlas, jealous of the attention her mother paid to Harlan, gave him unfettered access to her mind. Atlas blames himself for his mother's death and feels a strong sense of guilt. She believes that if not for her actions, her mother would still be alive, and Harlan would not have become what he has become. Harlan, having gained access to the mind of Mother Atlas, realized that the history of destructive behavior of mankind poses a threat to himself. He came to the conclusion that only the destruction of most of humanity can save the Earth from destruction. Smith, after listening to Atlas's story, tries to help her overcome her guilt and cope with her emotions. He tells her that she is not to blame for what happened and that her mother loved her. Smith convinces Atlas that together they can stop Harlan and save the Earth from destruction. Meanwhile, Colonel Banks, sacrificing himself, clears the way for Atlas and Smith to freedom. He arranges a diversion, distracting the attention of the guards, and gives Atlas and Smith the opportunity to escape. Atlas and Smith, fighting their way through the enemy ranks, break out and head for Harlan's ship, which is preparing to take off. They realize that if Harlan manages to take off, then the destruction of the Earth will become inevitable. Atlas and Smith engage in a fierce battle with Harlan, which ends in Atlas's victory. She destroys Harlan's ship and thwarts his plans to destroy Earth. During the battle, Smith is severely damaged and knocked out. Atlas is left alone, wounded and exhausted. After the threat has passed, Atlas returns to Earth. She is informed that it will take years to analyze Harlan's complex processor. Atlas, who has received the rank of Ranger, is taking part in testing a new mech robot model created using her proposed modifications. It becomes clear to the viewer that Smith's mind is inside this robot. Atlas smiles, realizing that her friend and companion is with her again. Thank you for watching this video. I hope the retelling of the Atlas movie was useful and interesting for you. Your support is very important to me.